Welcome, my friends. This is the Traveling Golfer. Well, I'm not actually. I'm Mike. Claudio DeMarchi is. Hi, buddy. How are you?
I'm great, Mike. Great to be here and out of COVID captivity.
Yeah, it is nice to kind of get out, isn't it?
It certainly is. Fresh air.
It is, and we kind of predicted this in talking off the show, actually, a number of weeks ago, that potentially golf was going to be one of the first freedom points for people. Might even do some good for the game.
Well, it should be. There's absolutely no reason in the world, other than it's a little chilly still, that we shouldn't be playing golf right now, because all over the U.S., there are only 4 states that are still not playing golf, and many states have played all through this whole thing, and they've done the social distancing and been well prepared and safe.
Yeah, how are they doing that? Any ideas what the process is like out on these courses that have stayed open?
All kinds of things that are very simple. 1 person per cart if you're using a cart. You don't touch pins, flags. You don't sit on benches. All the benches are gone. Anything that people could touch is removed. You don't even putt into the hole. Some people have, some of the courses have raised plastic around it or raised the cups so
that you're not putting your hand into the hole.
Exactly.
Oh, very interesting.
All kinds of things that make it very acceptable during these times.
And in fact, you want to get outside. You and I keep talking about this as well. If you can social distance, why stay stuck in the house?
Well, I've taken up fishing again. I haven't done that for 15 years.
How's that treating you?
It's actually been fun. I've been out, and every time I've caught something. And sadly, I've only kept 1 fish, and it was because the hook went a little too far down, and I didn't think he was going to live. So
he went.
Now in my freezer until the next poor little victim.
Coming up a little bit later in the program, we're going to maybe bridge the gap between fishing and wine. Maybe you could pair something for us. But something that will happen in this show and moving forward that I think you'll love is we're going to visit Claudio's wine cellar. So stick around for that at the end of the program. Today we are taking a journey, as we will every week. So subscribe to the show. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, we would love to have you along. And for goodness sake, if you want to see some of these beautiful destinations, people should go to your YouTube channel, I think, or to the website.
Yes, either one. We've been it's been around since 2006, and we basically just label it as a library of golf destinations. So if somebody's looking to go somewhere, they can find information on almost any place around the world.
I'm looking at it right now, and in front of me, French Lick Resort, which is coming up in a future episode not too far down the road, the Heather Course, the Arthur Hill Course, Donald Ross Memorial Course, all of them. Oh, and even this, Let's Fish. You even added a little bit of fishing to the channel.
Well, we've added the COVID series, too. There's some unique things, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
Today, where are we headed, by the way?
Today, we're staying, maybe not real local if you're in Southern Ontario, but we are going to stay within the province of Ontario.
Okay.
We are going to go up to the capital region in Ottawa, Kingston. Our guest is thoroughly knowledgeable about that whole area.
And this is really good because we are, for example, in Ontario. This would be a really good maybe first destination as we get back to travel that's a little localized to us, and probably a good example of how you can plan something out like that.
Well, we certainly know that golfers love to travel.
Yeah.
And even though they're going to be anxious to travel, I have a feeling that a lot of the initial forays on a golf vacation may be by car rather than air, and they may be a little closer to home depending on how things happen, even with the border.
Yeah, I think you're right. So we'll focus on that for a few episodes at the very least, that, places you could get to in the car, I guess, is what we're saying.
Exactly.
All right, tell us a little bit about today's guest.
Well, for today we have Scott McLeod, who is a fantastic golfer. I've been on a number of trips with him through our media escapades. But he's the editor and co-publisher of Flagstick Magazine and all platforms with Flagstick Media. Just one of the greatest guys when it comes to anything to do with social media, which I'm sure that he might elaborate on with us.
Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Look at you. We are, by the way, as we do this podcast, still socially isolating.
Sort of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, I understand you're in the studio, but even you'd have to admit, like we were just talking about this with Scott, the accommodations that have to be made to do this now. You had to be 6 feet from me. Things had to be rearranged. We've got one camera on the fly, but we're still managing to communicate. And instead of us getting in the car and driving all the way to Ottawa today, or to Kingston in this case, we got our Ottawa expert via Zoom.
Yes, and don't forget, we did bring our Lysol thingies and our Purell, and so we're good.
There we go. I'm Purelling as we speak, just to be sure. Scott, so how are things going for you out there as we head into golf season? This is a bit weird, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely different. Been a golfer for a long time, but certainly never seen a season like this. But, we're adapting and hoping that golfers are going to be able to get out there soon. Well, it is what it is, really.
Yeah, we've seen a lot, but we've never seen anything like this before. And it's really interesting with all the golf courses opening up all over the U.S. And we are still not, except for the East and West Coast. But soon we will be playing, but we don't know if we're going to be traveling as much as we like to. And one of the things that I thought that we would do is talk about places that people can drive to, because they're not going to be that excited about getting into an airplane real soon. And my visit up to Ottawa last summer on our friend Timmy's 60th birthday got me out on a couple of courses, and I'm thinking, maybe this could be a destination within the province of Ontario. Got one of the best downtowns in the country.
Oh, yeah.
You've got some pretty great golf courses and reasonably priced too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit biased. We've been in the National Capital having a publication, golf publication. This is our 25th year, but certainly a lot of people don't really appreciate the history and the heritage of golf in the Ottawa area, in the National Capital area. I mean, this is where Golf Canada and the PGA of Canada were founded. A lot of the original, golf clubs and things were coming from this area. So, I mean, we've been active in this region in golf since the late 1800s. And as a result of it, there is a rich heritage here, and that's carried over into the modern era as well. So just if we talk about specifically right in the National Capital region, we've got about 70 golf courses, and only about 8 of those are private. So that means there's a lot of public access as well. And if you do happen to be coming from Toronto and driving up this way, you got to consider as well that we've got about 155 golf courses within an hour and a half of Ottawa as well. So there's other places that you can, dip into on your way up.
We might want to dip into a few of the other areas on another occasion. Hopefully you'll be up for that. But I know down Belleville, Kingston, there's some great golf and great opportunities for stay and play down there too. But I think let's talk about Ottawa for now. I got to play the Marshes for my second time last year, and that's, to me, as good as it gets. I don't know that you could put any other course in Canada up against that and say that it's not as good.
Yeah, they've got a lot going for them. One thing is the ownership. Sir Terry Matthews, who also owns the Celtic Manor Resort in Wales, it's right in the Canada Research Park facility, which, if people are familiar, it's Silicon Valley North, but they have to consider it's a great golf course. Robert Trent Jones Senior design, public golf course, beautiful clubhouse. They also have the amenities as well with the Brookstreet Hotel there. So that makes for a really great combination. The other nice aspect too, they have a great practice facility, and they have a short course as well, which a lot of people are not familiar with, Marchwood, which is a short course that's there. And they've even got Blackbird Falls, which is a mini putt course. So there's something there for everyone if they're going to head to the Brook Street and the Marshes.
Yeah, Brook Street they've almost turned themselves into a little destination with great food in the restaurant. That jazz club is one of the best in Canada. So you could venture into Ottawa, but you don't have to, being it's, half an hour, 40 minutes outside of Ottawa.
That's nice to have. It's nice to have sort of an elegant time away, but still not be restricted from going out for a nice meal that's, gourmet to some degree and some entertainment without having to go into the big city. That's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a nice little addition. I mean, obviously, as Claudio mentioned, downtown is certainly a popular area. The Byward Market. A lot of people obviously go down to see the Parliament buildings and everything that's down there. So you shouldn't avoid that, especially if you're coming to the national capital. But being out in Canada, you know. 25, 30 minutes away, Brookstreet Marshes provides a nice option. That's out towards where the arena where the Senators play as well. So popular spot, and really it's easy to get around in the national capital. That's the nice thing too. No knock on the GTA, but it can be cumbersome sometimes to get around down there.
Yeah.
Ottawa tends to be a little bit better from a traffic perspective.
Yeah, and I love it. I mean, I've kind of called the courtyard right in the Byward Market my home away from home, because as soon as I get there, I can throw my bags in, walk across the street. There's a nice little Dubliner pub, I think.
Yeah.
And then
there's the old Dubliner. Yep.
There's the Grand Pizzeria right next door. We've done that trek.
You get all the good spots.
We've done that trek a few times, but
yeah, you're right. That Courtyard Marriott's a good one down there for sort of a economic stay, and really central, right near the market. So there's a lot to see there. Other great ones to stay downtown. I mean, if somebody's looking for something a little bit more premium, the Lord Elgin or the Chateau Laurier or the Westin, which are nice top end facilities. Chateau Laurier obviously is very historic, but if they want something a little bit more chic, a little bit more upscale, newer. Andaz is a new hotel, Andaz.
Yeah.
It's a concept hotel by Hyatt, and it's right in the market. They've got a top floor cocktail bar, really chic, nice little spot to stay as well, and some great views from up there.
They were just building that the last time that I was there. They were retrofitting it for this new. It's like outside of even boutique hotel. It's like super sharp, modernistic kind of feel. It's very cool.
Yeah, it was a nice addition to the market area. I mean, it's pretty busy down there, so it's really hard to have a lot of accommodations down there. But it was a nice add, and for somebody that's coming, especially from Toronto, maybe they're used to something a little bit more premium for some of the hotels and stuff like that. It's just a nice touch with, like I said, very very modern, and some great views, which is one of the pluses of the Ottawa Valley, to be able to see out, maybe see over to the Gatineau side, see that Ottawa River as well.
Yeah. So Scott, tell us, I know that you've played pretty much any golf course that's worth playing there. What are some of your favorites, and what are some of the favorites that people might want to venture into Ottawa for?
Yeah, I mean, from the public side of it there, you had mentioned the Marshes. There's sort of a category of some of the more, I won't call them premium, but they're sort of higher level public golf courses. Stonebridge is one, for an example, that's out in Nepean. Nice, more modern design, well conditioned. Let's see, Loch March, another quality one that's a little bit just outside of downtown as well, but great facility, really top level service, right through kind of a natural forest area. I know you played Emerald Links.
Yes.
Was that one of the ones that you played with Tim?
You know what? I was very impressed by Emerald Links, and the course was great, but I have to remember that the lunch we had there was absolutely outstanding too. And Martin, one of the Pattersons.
Yep.
Gib Patterson's the dad, and Martin's the son, and I see Martin at the golf shows all the time, and we always have laughs, and he invited us out, and it was 10 minutes from Tim's house and 10 minutes from the Fairfield that I stayed at right out by the airport.
The Patterson family are kind of royalty for golf in Ottawa. They have 3 golf courses: Anderson Links, Cloverdale Links, and Emerald Links. Emerald Links was their first one that they built, 27 holes there. And you're right, the restaurant's it's home style. Like, the breakfast there is amazing. So, if you're going to go out and play there, certainly go early enough so you can get the breakfast as well.
And make friends with Martin, because if he buys you lunch, it never stops.
Oh, that's my favorite kind of lunch. So let me ask you this. If you guys wanted to put together, let's say, a 2-day getaway from the GTA here, what would be your lineup? How would you do it?
Oh, wow. It really would depend on how much golf that you wanted to play. I mean, some people only want to play, 18 holes. Some people want to play 36. I would certainly, though, leave some time in between so that you can go out and about. As Claudio knows, the Byward Market, which is the area downtown where there's a lot of pubs and restaurants, clubs. It's a great place to hang out. So maybe you don't want to be, getting a 7 a.m. tee time on day two,
Or three, or ever.
Or enjoying some of the festivities. But you could work your way into town a little bit, coming from the West End. Or if you're coming in from the West End, you could look at a place like the Canadian, which is another 27-hole golf course. Ashton Brewing Company is nearby where they are. Where you work your way into the Marshes. If you're going to stay over at Brookstreet there, you could do that as your home base, or just play around at the Marshes and then make your way downtown doing accommodations down there.
This is good advice.
Yes, because once you get downtown, you can walk to almost any place you want to get to.
Yeah.
And there's one Italian restaurant that stands out in my mind. I think it's called Mezzanotte. If you haven't,
I don't know about that.
If you haven't
I've
been
not
there.
embarked on that one, but there's certainly no shortage of quality food down in the market.
Steak houses for sure. And where there's steak, there's martini.
That is true. That is actually that's science right there that you shared with us. Martinis and steak together.
And in this times, it's called quarantini.
That's for sure. I mean, some of those you mentioned the Old Dubliner. It's a good pub. Heart and Crown. I think I've been there with you once or twice. That's a legendary lively pub.
What is there? Five different pubs all rolled into one, or you can stumble. You roll downhill and.
That is handy.
Yeah, it's kind of unique because you go in one entrance and basically it's almost like a part of a city block, and you just work your way through. And at the front, they sort of have their live bands in there. You work your way through a more traditional pub. Then you go into a kind of a larger room where they could have some dancing and stuff going on. So a little mix of each in there. So Heart and Crown's always popular, especially St. Patty's Day and all sorts of different events. But it's pretty much a gold standard down in the Byward Market.
I was afraid we might get to this stage where we got more restaurants, bars, and pubs than we do golf courses. What about, we have a few Club Link courses up there for our Club Link fans. I think there's 3 on the Ottawa side and one in Gatineau.
Yeah, they're all private, unfortunately. But if you are a Club Link member, you can obviously get access. So Eagle Creek is out in the West End, former host course for the Canadian Tour. So that's a quality one. A lot of people like to go to. That's out in Dunrobin. Then you have the Canada Golf Club, which is a Tom McBroom design. Really great greens, a tough golf course, very challenging. Then you head over to the east side of the city where the Greyhawk Golf Club is, and there's 36 holes there, the Talon and the Predator Golf Course. And then if you wander over to Gatineau side of it, there's a golf course called Haute Plaine, which is their 4th property in the region over there. And that's a fun golf course up and down a hillside. Definitely has a little different feel than maybe in Ottawa, a lot more elevation. And, that's a great side of the river to be on as well. Lots of golf over there.
They might have better poutine over on that side.
They just might.
Yeah, no, that's a whole different era of cuisine as well, actually, as you get into some more traditional French cooking, I'm sure, on that side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a nice part for Ottawa, though, is you get that combination of both flavors. It's the French and English side of it. So you see that fused in, whether it's the people that you meet. A lot of people obviously bilingual. You see that in the restaurants and how that's represented as well. So it is a real mix of Canadianity in all parts of the city.
Scott, you have a podcast of your own. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we do a podcast called Tea Talk. We've been doing that for about, 14 months or so now. We're about 64, 65 episodes in.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun. A nice sort of side project. Really, we focus on people who love golf, and that's really what it comes down to. And feature interviews could be anybody from James Duthie at TSN to PGA Tour players to NHL players to musicians. And then, we obviously talk about current events, have some fun games. I throw in a couple of tips as a PGA of Canada member, and it's just a fun way to share golf with a lot of people. And we're fortunate we've grown a pretty decent audience as well.
Yeah, you have time for those lessons, don't you? But with all of these things that you're doing, how could you possibly have time for those?
Well, I try not to sleep. I try to make use of every minute of the day. How's that?
So you were sleeping while they were pounding on your roof, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Stop being such a workaholic, Scott. We're worried about you, man.
Hey, it's fun. It's the golf industry, man.
Well, look, thanks for joining us today. And I would imagine that we will be back in touch as we reach out on other courses in your realm. And we wish you the best through isolation and see you out on the course soon, man.
Thanks. Look forward to it, and happy to come on anytime and chat golf.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, no worries. All good.
Wow, what a really great guy. Knowledgeable about that area for sure.
Well, would I bring on anybody else?
No,
Come on.
I do trust you to bring on the good guests. And if that's where we're going with that kind of guest on this podcast, I'm looking real forward to the people we're going to meet.
Right. And we can bring people from all around the world. Because don't forget, I am the North American rep for IACTO, the International Association of Golf Tour Operators.
So out of your bag, you'll pull the odd special club for us, will you, from around the world, and we'll find some gems that way. I did love the notion of actually putting a little bit of a trip together, saying, okay, look, here's what you can do, and not ignoring the travel and tourism element of it. There's a few things to see, a brewery, some great places to eat. Leave time for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Eat, drink, and be merry.
Speaking of which, in just a couple of minutes here, we will visit Claudio's wine cellar and have a discussion about how things went on his birthday this year. Yeah.
Aha.
Thanks for the invite.
The COVID series.
Oh, that's why I wasn't invited. I see.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's what I want to do, if you don't mind. And you don't have to do this. I just thought it would be fun because you are what we in the biz of not golfing refer to as a scratch golfer. You are really good at what you do. And what you do is a leisurely lifetime. I've said this to you before. I think you might be in heaven in this. You're flipping through your book. What are you doing? Flip.
I was looking for my Amarone stuff, but...
Oh, don't worry. You found it, did you? Okay. He's flipping through his notes. I'm like, what's going on over there? He goes, no, this is important stuff. I need my wine notes. Let's do this. Let's talk about a bad shot in golf. Tell me about a shot that you remember that you're like, I can't believe that happened. Because they probably stand out for you. I'm awash in bad shots. They stand out for. Give me one of those, would you please?
Well, one of the most memorable, I guess, and it was actually just destroyed a really great round. I remember playing up at our club at Blue Mountain Golf and Country Club, and getting to the 18th tee, and I'm only one over par.
Very nice game.
Yeah, and then I proceeded to put, I think, at least 2 out of bounds, and ended up taking an 11 on a par 5. So, but, that was way back in the day, and that was before I played Tour Edge golf.
I see. Okay.
And they're wonderful drivers.
So let me see. How would that have improved your game? TourEdgeGolf.com. Sorry, how would that have improved your game?
Well, I don't know. I just, with Tour Edge and their great drivers, you just don't hit them astray anymore. I mean, they go down the middle. Actually, a couple of years ago, they turned me into the golfer I always wanted to be, where I could actually sometimes even reach par 5s and 2.
What?
Yeah. That means you got to hit it down the middle twice.
That's exactly right. That is a rarity, actually, for even some of the best golfers. The psychology behind that, if your club can eliminate a little bit of that psychology, even just a little bit, it could be the difference from putting it right down the middle.
Absolutely. You know what's wrong with after you make a great drive, you know what the next biggest problem is?
What's that?
Hitting the next one down the middle.
There's something to that as well. So if your club then again can lend itself to that. Look, I'm just going to say this. It worked for Claudio, who's not a great golfer, I pointed out before. But it could definitely do something. It could change my world entirely. Check out Tour Edge equipment, from bags to clubs, right through from pro, their exotic series. Go check them out. It made a difference for Claudio, and we'll recommend that you have a look into those clubs today.
A lot of people had not heard of Tour Edge until the last couple of years, but now you see a whole slew of senior tour players all playing Tour Edge.
TourEdge.com. You see how I wedged those in?
That's a good wedgie.
All right, look, before we get out of here, one of the things that I love most about talking golf with you is the diversion from golf, because it's a game. And once we talk about how beautiful a place is and some of the accoutrements that surround it, what's left is some really nice conversation. And one of your favorite topics, and I love this about you, is food and wine and how they come together. So every episode, we're going to do something a little special for you. If you enjoy the odd cocktail, maybe a little bit of wine in your day, well, I happen to have an expert, not just in golf, but somebody who appreciates the finer wines in life. And so this week we are talking Amarones.
We are, and I just have to correct you because I am not an expert on wine, but I simply do quality control.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So that people who happen to sample, know that it's assured.
Okay, I like that. Quality assurance.
Quality assurance.
That's even better, to be honest with you, than having an expert. Some of those experts, they can be swayed. I don't think you can be.
Well, I have. If you check out the Traveling Golfer, the wine section, and it says a little bit about the author. I guess that's me.
You're the author.
It says that I can say whatever I want about the wine that I'm drinking or anything that I'm drinking because I'm paying for it.
Exactly.
Nobody's giving it to me. So,
and you actually go out of your way to find the right wines to. Obviously, you love to cook.
I do.
So
I do. You got to check out the COVID series, Birthday for One, in isolation. There was a nice bottle of Amarone to be had that afternoon.
Let's talk about Amarones. What is an Amarone, first of all, for anybody who's never had one?
Well, Amarone is a brand of wine, I would say. It's made up of different grapes. Corvina and Rondinella are two of the grapes. But what's really unique about Amarone is the great solid taste. And
it's a very bassy drink.
It definitely is. It's absolutely perfect with steaks or any red meat, or as my brother would say, that for me, Amarone is perfect with anything.
Because all the things you love the most, it accompanies.
Exactly. Yeah. And, unfortunately, it's a little higher in sugar and it's a little higher in alcohol content, but that's simply because the grapes that they use, once they pick them, it's almost like the process of making ice wine. Not that it's ice wine or that sweet at all, but they will take these grapes and they will let them sit for a month or two and let them dry out. So that's why the intensity in the sugar and the concentration. So they need to use many, I'm not sure if it's twice as many or how many times more grape to produce a wine just because it's concentrated.
Yeah, it is a thicker wine.
And that's why you get the great flavor. And, there was a time when I remember buying Amarone. You couldn't get it for under $50 a bottle.
Yeah.
And now there's a whole bunch of them out there in the last few years. I don't know why, but you can get them in between $30 and $35. You can still get some pretty decent Amarones.
You have any recommends for us today?
Come to mind, Massey is what I had on my birthday.
Is that one of the sort of original Amarones that we became familiar with in Canada?
I couldn't really tell you that.
Because it's sort of the original that I remember in my mind.
Well, Massey's huge. Cesare is another one. And you'll see a lot of bottles from Valpolicella. And there is Amarone della Valpolicella. Farina is another one, and that's it.
What's your fave?
Amarone.
It is.
Go figure.
Wow. Right out of the gate with your favorite one. But I will tell you this. As we make our way to some other destinations, we'll depart from wine even into some other localized beverages, and stick with us for that. Coming up in the next episode, where are we headed?
I think we're going to southern Indiana, the French Lick Resort, bordering bourbon country.
All right, so maybe a change of beverage even in the next episode. Thank you for joining us in the wine cellar, and of course for joining us today. Be sure to visit travelinggolfer.net and the Traveling Golfer YouTube channel, where you'll find this podcast and amazing videos from golf courses all around the world.
Yes, sir.
Claudio, thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Catch you next time.